not you judging yourself. You're not looking at your thoughts and judging your thoughts. The goal with self-awareness is to understand, to learn and to understand. And to do that, the first thing that you have to do is you have to remove judgment, and you have to replace judgment with curiosity. Self-awareness, and if we want to connect that to our goals, right? Again, I don't care if your goal is financial, if it's relationship goals. I mean, God, think about the person who has no self-awareness and what kind of, if they're in a partnership with someone, it's probably not going to be a healthy relationship. There are no shoulds that live in the heart. To trust the sharp yes and the sharp no is not an easy task. I know, I understand that, but it is the assignment. This is the Roxanne Show. Get ready. It's time to rise. Welcome back to the Roxanne Show, or welcome to, if it is your first time here. So happy to have you here. In today's episode, I am going to talk about this very essential, critical thing that all of us need if we want to actualize, achieve goals that really matter to us. And I'm talking about goals in any domain of your life. So what is this thing that we all need? Well, this thing happens to be the center point of all of my work, which is self-mastery. Now, what I'm going to do today in this episode, I'm going to make this fun for all of us. I mean, at least it's fun to me, being a little geek. But if you're listening to me, you might be a little geek too. And I'm celebrating that. So we're going to geek out together on some of the most incredible, thought-provoking, thought-leading, trailblazing humans to have ever existed. And what I intend to do is to take some of their powerful quotes. All of them have so many, but I've selected very specific ones that are centered on principles of self-mastery. So I'm sure some of these quotes you've absolutely heard before, but I'm going to double click on them and I'm going to tease them out to bring you into these essential principles of self-mastery. Because before I even go there, let's just understand self-mastery. Mastering yourself, let's start with what it's not. It is not controlling yourself. It is not becoming perfect. It is not, putting yourself in where you're emotionally bypassing, like denying yourself of really any of the human experience. It's not anything like that. Mastery of self is getting into the most intimate, empowered relationship with all the facets of your inner world, your thinking, your feeling, so your emotions, your authenticity, your intuition, your beliefs, your patterns, all of this. We want to get into a very strong, empowered, and deeply connected relationship with all the facets of ourself that I just listed. Because when we do this, first of all, you are always a student of self. When you are a student of self, you are constantly going to be positioning yourself to learn about yourself, to understand more of yourself, to know thyself, the classic maxim, to know thyself. When we can know thyself, we can really start to connect with ourself. When we connect with ourself, we can start to do a lot of important things like accept ourselves, love ourselves, respect ourselves, believe in ourselves, trust ourselves. All of that is huge. It's so essential. It's so critical. It's so vital, right? And strong self-mastery allows us to cultivate this relationship with ourselves so that we are constantly working in ourself, on ourself, in ways to help us thrive, in ways that allow us to be filled inside, right? We come into a state of wholeness when there's more mastery inside because of that intimate relationship that we build with ourselves, and specifically and especially When I say self, I'm talking about your authentic self, your authentic self. So self-mastery, when you hear it, first of all, it's not one thing. It's a constellation of all the facets of your being, right? And it's complex, but it's really, I think of it actually it's very creative to me because of the complexity, I see it as a constellation of our inner world. Or you can look at it like there is an orchestra, and your thoughts, your beliefs, your patterns, your intuition, all what I just listed off, these are all instruments. So what is the symphony that you, the maestro, are conducting in your inner world? And what is that symphony replaying back to you in your external world? Because as my quote that I've said forever now and will continue to say goes, the inner shapes the outer. So it's very important to get into this relationship where you can cultivate mastery with yourself, because your inner world is absolutely shaping your external world. And when we think about any goal, I don't care what your goal is, there's going to have to be some, if not many, aspects of mastery that comes into place for you to be able to achieve your goal. And I want you to achieve all of your goals. So let's get into this first one. Okay, the first one, and again, I'm sure many of you have heard these quotes before, but now you might hear them and feel them in a different way. This first one is by Carl Jung. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. This kicks off core principle self-mastery number one. And really, it is the ultimate agent for all growth. And that is self-awareness. Self-awareness is everything. We need self-awareness to make any kind of change and growth in our lives. When you hear self-awareness, I'm curious, and you can journal this. What does that even mean to you? What does self-awareness look like to you? What does it feel like to you? How does it show up in your life? Those are really good journaling questions, self-directed journaling prompts. So I invite you to literally take out your pen, maybe replay that and ask yourself those questions. And let me share with you. So self-awareness is really becoming the observer of self, metacognition. You're watching your thoughts, you're thinking about your thinking, not from a place of judgment. I have to say that again. This is not you judging yourself. You're not looking at your thoughts and judging your thoughts. The goal with self-awareness is to understand, to learn and to understand. And to do that, the first thing that you have to do is you have to remove judgment, and you have to replace judgment with curiosity. Curiosity has to lead you. Curiosity is a superpower. Curiosity is your way out. When I say out, I mean a lot of things that would probably lead us into another episode, but it's really how you continuously wake up and keep moving forward in your life from a place of inspiration, from a place of the desire to want to grow, to understand, to ultimately to create, right? So this quote that Carl has said is really important for us to realize, because this is a very important piece actually. We have the conscious mind, the unconscious, subconscious mind, and a lot of the programs and the scripts, the narratives that are literally shaping our reality are running in the subconscious, where we're not really aware of it, right? And self-awareness helps us to become not just more aware of our conscious thinking, but it actually invites us into deeper layers of ourself, which includes our subconscious, because you're going to start asking yourself questions. It's not just I'm thinking about my thinking. You're actually going to, why am I thinking that way? And not from a negative place again, a truly curious place. Why did I respond that way? What was it about that situation that made me feel this way? This is where you start to really come to understand yourself. And another angle we can look at self-awareness too is you literally become more conscious. And I'm not saying self-conscious in some insecure way. I'm saying conscious. You become more conscious around your energy and how you're moving in the world. When you walk into a room and there's other people there, someone with strong self-awareness, which by the way is one of the greatest attributes of emotional intelligence as well. Someone with strong self-awareness is going to be cognizant of how they are moving in that room with others. And again, this is not how you control yourself and you're not allowing yourself to be who you are. It's just you're with yourself from an observer standpoint. You have connected stronger with your own energy field, how you function, the words, the way that you speak. You're aware of how you can make people feel, right? And again, I'm going to say this again, this is not to stop you from being who you are. It's so that you actually understand who and how you are. And if there are things that you feel you would like to make changes on in any of that, that self-awareness is allowing you to do that. It puts you in the position to be able to do that. Because if you think about it, how else do you get the data? How else do you get the material to know what it is that you need and want to change? So self-awareness, and if we want to connect that to our goals, right? Again, I don't care if your goal is financial, if it's relationship goals. I mean, God, think about the person who has no self-awareness and if they're in a partnership with someone, it's probably not going to be a healthy relationship. Self-awareness is going to allow us to understand, how are we communicating? Why did I respond that way? Was I triggered in some way? Where might that trigger be coming from? Oh, maybe it's not from my partner, but it's from something in my childhood. Your self-awareness puts you in the classroom with yourself from this beautiful energy and quality called curiosity, which kicks judgment out the way so you can actually learn. And the more that you start to learn and understand yourself, the more empowered you are, and the better you put yourself in a position to make any change, to grow, to accomplish any goal. So I say this a lot. If you've been a long time listener, you're like, there she goes again with this, but I'm going to say it again. And I'm probably going to say it a lot more after this. Self-awareness is not something that's easy to sell, meaning I'm out here and I want you to activate stronger self-awareness. I want you to do more self-directed writing, journaling. I want you to do more meditation. I want you to take more moments of pause, right? It's harder to sell that than to sell this thing that's going to do this and that for you, money, relationships, fucking any of it. I always say self-awareness, you can't wear it hanging in your closet. You can't hang it on the wall. You can't deposit it in the bank account. You can't sleep with it. And yet it impacts every domain of your life, including everything I just mentioned. So the person who doesn't have strong self-awareness, all of those domains that we all want to be firing and fulfilled in, the money, the health, the love, the business, career, the material things, all of it, I'm telling you right now that your self-awareness levels really impact your fulfillment and like your experience within all of those domains. So I don't care if it's not fucking Instagrammable. I don't care. I am telling you right now, it is the thing to invest in. It's the thing, all you need to do is start with 5 minutes a day. Self-directed writing. You want help with that? Come into my Substack. This is what we do. Meditate. Meditate, I know, can be hard for some people. Maybe not for some of you. But even just turning down the volume of the external noise and sitting quietly with yourself and not even trying to quiet the mind and go into deep anything. No. Just turn down the volume around you. Sit with yourself just for a few minutes a day. That's actually very hard for people to do, but it's one of the greatest pathways to activate more self-awareness. So I want to move on to the next quote because I have a couple here, but core principle number 1 of self-mastery and the key agent for growth, which includes accomplishing any goal, is self-awareness. Okay, this next incredible human, I often say in my writing, is a soulmate, because the things that he's left behind for us, his writing in particular, his philosophy, I have chills on my body just thinking about it, because there's something about his philosophy that I understand innately as a truth just for me. And that, it's like a resonance, a frequency. And so I always say Bruce Lee is a soulmate. I love him. And then, yes, of course, I'm a martial artist. And so I love that fact too. But honestly, with me and Bruce, it's his philosophies and the way that he just understood very important aspects of life from an energetic standpoint that I just deeply admire, revere, and resonate with him. So the quote that I'm going to read from Bruce is definitely one I'm sure that all of you have heard, and I should know it by heart by now, but I don't want to fuck it up. So I'm going to actually read it. So, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless like water. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend. So there's so much to say about that. Be water, my friend, right? Like move like water. So thinking about this next principle of self-mastery, and that is a growth mindset. When we operate from a place of growth, we are going to be more malleable, right? So if we think of the opposite of a growth mindset, it is a fixed mindset. And that is not water. Water is not fixed. Water moves. So when I think about this quote from Bruce, I mean, there's a lot of things that I think about. I think about how important it is to have a growth mindset. This allows us to constantly be evolving on a high level. Back up to self-awareness. Self-awareness is integrated into a growth mindset. We don't want to operate from a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset is a cesspool. It's stagnancy. It's really death on earth. Like you're just walking around and you're not evolving. So you're here, you exist, but you're not alive. The point is to live, to be alive. And to be alive, we need to constantly be expanding and evolving. It doesn't mean that you can't have moments of plateaus. That's another quote from Bruce, one of my favorite quotes. You just can't stay there. There's a point to plateauing at times. Maybe it's a resting spot to evaluate, to metabolize a certain moment of your life, but it's not where you stay. We're here to expand and to evolve. We're here to move like water. We're here to flow with the energetics of life. I mean, look at the natural world. The natural world shows us everything. The natural world is constantly in evolution. It's always expanding. This is also resilience, which is another point we'll get to, but I love when I see a beautiful flower growing out of the cement, the cracks in the cement. I so associate with that flower. It is so fucking badass to me. And I'll leave the resilience part for another quote that's coming and tear into that. But the part that I want to connect the flower to with the flow is that you can't stop the life from growing. It finds a fucking way. And when you're moving energetically with life and you aren't fixed, you allow for that growth to continue to unfold. And honestly, I'm addicted to growth. I don't want to be in a room where I can't grow. That is uncomfortable to me. If it's not giving me energy where I can grow, I don't want to be there, and I probably won't be there, to be honest with you. Actually, I won't be, not even a probably. But the reason for that is because growth is it's such a core love of mine. You know, I'm addicted to it, and it's vital for vitality. So it's not just to better our intellectual self or to, you know, expand in any area of life that we want to and achieve our goals. It's actually so important for our health, our vitality. Because then think about a cesspool. What is a cesspool? Like a water that's just not really moving. What is it doing? It's just collecting nothing that you want in your system, right? So you can think of that as a disease state. And when we are not moving, when we are not in flow, when we are not operating in that growth state, then we're just inviting the disease state to come in. And that disease state can be despondency, it could be sadness, it could be depression, it could be, I mean, it can manifest in a lot of different ways. So we don't want to be there. We don't want to be there. We want to move like water. This next one, by the way, I've done an episode a while back ago, and it was this idea of, if you could invite anybody to a dinner party, dead or alive, who would it be? And this next individual was on that list. Bruce was also on that list. It's a really good episode. And I love that I'm back here. You know, this is a completely different episode, but it's very fun for me to bring in some of these incredible hearts and souls and minds that have lived. First of all, just because I revere them so much, but also I love that I get to continue their legacy through my own voice and share them with you. Maybe there's some that you haven't heard. This next one, Ralph Waldo Emerson, one of the greatest writers and thought leaders of our time. And this quote that I'm about to read from him, this is really, really essential. It's a core pillar in self-mastery, of course, but it's such an essential piece to truly live a life where you are said that so weird. Fulfilled. I'll run with it. We can keep that in. Okay, the quote is, trust thyself. Every heart vibrates to that iron string. Trust thyself. Every heart vibrates to that iron string. If you ask me, what's the main takeaway, Roxanne, that you want people to get from your work? It's this very simple statement. A lot comes with this, but it's this very simple statement. I want you to trust yourself. And when I say self, I am always talking about your authentic self. And when I talk about the authentic self, I am referring to, well, there's a lot of facets to your authentic self, but the voice of your heart. This is where your intuition comes through, and it is the voice of your authentic self. And one of my quotes, there are no shoulds that live in the heart. It's a sharp yes or sharp no. There are no shoulds that live in the heart. To trust the sharp yes and the sharp no is not an easy task. I know, I understand that, but it is the assignment. To trust yourself is absolutely fundamental to living a life that feels good, a life where you can thrive. Let's look at it from a different angle. If your life is filled, if you don't trust yourself, here's what's happening. First of all, you don't even know yourself, like your true self. Second of all, you lack self-esteem. You lack self-love, because self-trust cultivates this connection with yourself. Or let me say it a different way. When you have a true connection with yourself, self-trust can become more activated. Let me paint a really cool picture that's going to make this very relatable. I want you to think about any relationship in your life right now, somebody that you deeply trust, deeply trust. What did you have to do to get to that place? What did that person need to do in your exchange to get to that place where you can trust each other? You probably had to invest time together. There were actions that were, or words that were backed by action. There was probably a hell of a lot of consistency that came into place. So it built this confidence and this reverence, this respect between each other. And all of that probably cultivated a lot of love too, right? All of that creates the perfect environment for trust to exist. Okay, so bring it back to yourself now. If you don't trust yourself, you're playing small. You're disconnected from your authentic self. You're certainly disconnected from your intuition, because those two go hand in hand, right? You're never really tasting your true potential. You're absolutely settling. You're playing the fucking should game all the time. And there's a whole cascade of other dramas that come with that. Nothing that you want, nothing that I want for you. When you trust yourself, I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm certainly not saying that you're not going to be challenged and you're not going to face hardship. I'm not saying that. No, in fact, I'm going to say this. You absolutely are, because a lot of the times to trust yourself, you have to walk through fucking fire. You're dancing with uncertainty on a completely different level, because you're not waiting for validation out here to tell you who you are and how you should do. You're cultivating that from within, and then you're executing from that place. And that is a very different life. Will you get punched in the face by life sometimes? That's my metaphor. Absolutely. Good. You'll be better for it. So long as you don't become a victim of that circumstance, and you evaluate it and you learn, what do I need to do next time? Did I need to do anything better? Do I need to be smarter? Oh, any of it. Always from a place of curiosity, not judgment. And then you grow, you expand, you evolve into a higher expression of yourself. Trust, that self-trust will always lead you to greater places, not only in your external world, but in your internal world. And yeah, if you have to learn some lessons, in that process, you're designed to learn those lessons. You have to trust that those lessons are there for you, because they're actually allowing you to come into the higher expression of yourself, your true self. I know it's not easy to do. I know, but it has been the through line to my life. So I can say it with conviction. It's the thing that I have done. I have always fucking trusted myself. And again, there's been a lot of challenges that have come with that. And I put so much emphasis on that, because I just want to make sure that I'm not painting a rainbow path of perfection and ease. I'm actually telling you the opposite. But pick your pain, pick your challenge. Wouldn't you rather be the person who's playing to win because you trust yourself? Or would you rather be the person who lives with regret because you really never fucking know who you are and what could come from playing life at that level with yourself, where you're actually operating from the yes and or the no, and not the should or the settling? That discomfort, fuck that. I could never. That's where regret strongly can come into the picture. And I'm talking about the kind of regret, the what if, what would have happened. And that is a very uncomfortable place to be, because it is a question that will eternally never be answered. I'd rather get the answer. I'd rather fail. I'd rather take the metaphoric life punch, because at least that's material that I can use to grow and to better myself in my life. Pick your challenge. Trust yourself. And your heart leads the way. Every heart vibrates to that iron string. God, I love you, Emerson. Okay. Almost there. This one's a little girthy, but I'm in it. Girth. What an ugly word. Okay. This next one speaks so deeply. I mean, all of these do. Really, like they all do. That's why I picked them. But man, oh man, this one speaks so directly to something that I am always talking about and is absolutely a core principle to self-mastery. So this one's coming from our girl, Maya Angelou. Maya said, I learned a long time ago that I am not anyone's enemy. I am my best warrior. I am on my team. I am on my team. My longtime community, listeners, followers on Instagram, you know that is something that I have always talked about before I even knew about this quote, right? It's like, be on your team. Be on your team. You know, that whole quote, it's, you know, it's not me. I'm not competing with anyone. It's me versus me. Look, I totally get that. But because I'm such a deep thinker, I sat with that one day and I'm like, but I'm not really competing with myself. Yes, you know, there's the inner critic, there's, depending on who you are in your life, there's the excuses, there's the limiting beliefs, there's the, you know, all of that stuff. I get where it comes from because I've subscribed to that. Yeah, I'm not competing out here. It's me versus me. Totally get it. But then there's this next level shit that comes in. There's another level to this game. And that's when I was sitting with this quote, I was like, yeah, I'm not there anymore. I'm not saying that the inner critic doesn't come in. I'm not saying that there aren't limiting beliefs, perhaps, that I have to investigate, learn, and still overcome. But this other level that I play life with is I'm not competing with myself. I am on my team. I'm here to help me fucking win in every zone of my life that I intend and desire to live. And it's that being on the team part that actually helps me to do that, right? I'm not fighting myself. I'm fighting for myself. And that is a huge fucking difference. And putting this into the principle of self-mastery, we want to think about emotional fluency. We want to think about the relationship that we have with our emotions. Our emotions are a huge part of ourself, right? There's a very big difference in I'm frustrated or I feel frustrated. I am frustrated is this declaration that's moving into your self-identity. Don't want that. I feel frustrated is a moment. It's a moment. It's a human experience moment. But those simple shifts of words are so powerful because it truly creates a difference in your experience and your relationship with the emotion, right? Another angle to look at emotional fluency and this concept of self-mastery, or this principle rather of self-mastery, is your response to circumstances. And when I say your response, I'm talking about your emotional response to it, right? So I'll never forget this. This is years ago. It was such a cool moment. And walking I go outside. I'm so excited. I'd been indoors working all morning. I'm replaying this now. And I live at the beach, and I walk outside to go on a beach walk, and I'm so pumped to finally get outside. And right when I get out there, it starts raining. And I'm like, fuck, no. And I caught myself back up to core principle number 1, self-awareness, because I'm aware of myself. So I can feel, I'm getting frustrated, right? No. And my natural disposition is harmony. I don't walk around feeling frustrated. So it's like an alarm that goes off. I have this thing called the harmony alarm. Like my harmony alarm went off, right? So cue self-awareness. Now come in to this emotional fluency and the relationship with my emotions. What am I feeling right now? Okay, I'm feeling frustrated. Do I want to feel frustrated? No, but I do feel frustrated. So it's a real feeling. Okay, I acknowledge that. I accept that. Okay, so what do you want to do with this feeling of frustration right now? Do we want to keep it going? Is it going to help us do anything? These are like real questions. I'm not being an asshole to myself. It's like, is it going to do something for you? No. Okay, well, so then do we want to pivot this? Do we want to transmute this energy? Can't get rid of it. Don't want to push against it. Do we want to alchemize it into something else? Probably. Okay, so what would that be? How about gratitude? Okay, gratitude for what? I'm grateful that I'm just outside. I've been indoors working all morning. Okay, what else? Can we build on this? It just feels good to feel the sand in my feet and the air, the beach air and salt air. I mean, I guess it's, I'm getting more beach waves. Oh, okay, that's funny. Before I knew it, that frustration turned into actually giggles. I was like, beach waves? Yeah, it's actually true. I'm getting beachy hair right now. That right there, that's emotional mastery. I didn't allow myself to sit in the shit. I was aware of myself. I also didn't try and push against it. I acknowledged, I accepted. Yeah, that was annoying. It was frustrating. Okay, what do you want to do with that now? Right? Ultimately, it comes back to this relationship with yourself. To be on your team means you're actually going to care about how you fucking feel. And it doesn't mean that you are crossing out feelings that don't feel good. It's not emotional bypassing. It's having such an intimate relationship with your emotions and being able to navigate them with more intention, with more awareness. This is mastery. So going back to her quote, being on your team, to not be the enemy. To be the enemy is to not even have the awareness, but to not care and to allow yourself to live in these low frequency feelings and allow emotional states to take over your state of being, such that it can literally crawl into your self-identity. And now guess what? It's actually telling you who you are. That's not mastery. That's an overtake of your emotions. And that is not where we ever want to be. You have agency. You are the one that gets to decide. You can't control your feeling. Like, feelings are going to come, right? But you can absolutely control your perspective and your relationship with them. And that is so huge. And when you think about this idea of being on your team, and that being on your team means that you really care about how you feel, the energy that you're moving through your life with, you're going to think about this now. You're going to think about her quote. You're going to think about emotional fluency, and you're going to think about, how can I get into more mastery with my emotions? Stimulus happens, something takes you off your baseline. Refractory period. How fast can you get back to your baseline? Like, you're just normal rest and digest. You're not in fight or flight mode. And of course, the stimulus will dictate that. Some stimulus, like meaning a circumstance or situation, some things might be traumatic, and I'm not overlooking that. So the response to get back to baseline could take more time. The idea here is to realize that your feelings don't dominate you. Your emotional states are not your boss. You are. And the sooner that you can really connect with that idea, the sooner that you get yourself in this position to have more mastery in this relationship with yourself, your emotional fluency. It's so, so key. And it really is going to impact every facet of your life, including how you are moving towards your goals. Think about this before we move on to the last one. If you're moving towards a goal, let's just make it a business goal. Okay. It's a business goal. It's a money goal. And there's a setback. Something comes into the picture and it fucking throws you off. Well, if you can't get back to baseline, and if that circumstance starts to allow your emotional states or state of being to override you and you can't be clear anymore. You've lost your confidence. Now you're just in hyper worry mode. You've lost your attention. How are you going to get to that goal? You're not going to be able to. Not to mention, you just feel like shit inside. You're certainly not feeling like you're on your team, because you're not. So be on your team and start doing what's necessary. Always going back to the self-directed writing, journaling, to help you get into a better relationship with your emotions, emotional fluency. Moving on to the last one. Probably didn't need to say that part. We can cut that part out, actually, please. Okay. Okay. And I'm aware of the time. Okay. So we're going to end this one with Carl again. Carl Jung says, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Oftentimes, when we think about this idea of becoming who we truly are, we're thinking about what we need to add to ourselves, whether it's a stronger attribute, quality, habit, belief, any and all of that. True. Absolutely. And it's equal parts stripping away what's getting in the way of who we truly are. And that could be a limiting belief. That could be a habit, a pattern. It could be a lot of things, and it probably is. But the goal is, how do you come home to your authenticity? And that is the goal, to get into that deep, intimate connection with your authentic self and to be devoted to moving through your life from your most authentic self. Your most authentic self is not this, just be real. No. What are your authentic values? What are your true passions? What do you truly want to say yes to? What do you truly want to say no to? What are your attributes? Like, what are your attributes? Your leading attributes. We all have leading attributes, and they all vary depending the person. Do you know yours? Right? This stuff is material. This is your part of your self-identity. This is part of your self-concept, self-identity, interchangeable, right? When you operate outside of your authentic self, you're self-abandoning. And I'm going to say that with compassion, because there's a lot of circumstances in life where people either are not even aware that they're doing that, or are doing it because of survival mode. I understand that does happen. In fact, a lot of times it can, from the hardwiring of our brains from, getting kicked out of the tribe back in the day, right? We still have that, our brains wired that way. So you might be a people pleaser because, if you don't, then you feel like you're going to be exiled. You're going to be kicked out of the tribe. You won't be loved. And we all want to be loved. And it's essential for us to feel loved, to live with vitality. So I say that because I understand that this idea of being your authentic self is not easy. It's complex, and it is still the task. It is still the assignment. It is still the highest and most important goal of your fucking life. Because when you are building your life from your authentic self, this is your true life. This is where you can really, everything is true. I can look at my life, and even the shit that I wouldn't repeat, the messy, oh my God, really? The dents on my record, things like that, they're not actually, but that stuff, where I look now because of where I am in my evolution, my growth, and I'm like, holy shit, no. But you know what? I have no regrets. I have no regrets because I live true. I've only made true moves. Another quote of mine: you can't make a wrong move when you make a true move. And those are the only moves that come from the heart. And your heart is the voice of your authenticity. So yes, Has there been things that I wouldn't repeat? Absolutely. But I don't regret because it was true in the moment. It's what felt good, right, and true to me. So I executed from that place. And that creates a very different kind of confidence when you operate from true moves. Because if you think about it, just putting it very simply, when you're not operating from your true self, how the fuck are you going to feel confident about yourself? You can't, because you're not being who you truly are. So you're actually stripping away at your self-esteem and your self-confidence. Maybe not even aware that you're doing that. So this is a very important and core pillar to self-mastery, your authenticity, your authentic self. And it's obviously a core theme to all my work, but it's foundational because without it, there's cracks in the game. And you don't want cracks in the game. You don't want cracks in your foundation. You don't want them. I understand that they might happen. And sometimes those cracks are the pathways for you to learn and to grow so that those cracks don't come into the foundation anymore. Sometimes that is the path. We have to go that route. But if you can keep in mind these principles that I shared with you, self-awareness, growth mindset, emotional fluency, authenticity, self-trust. These are vital, not just to accomplish any goal, but to truly know, love, trust, and respect yourself and to live a life where you are fucking thriving from within and out. So that's what I got for you. I hope that some, if not all of this, just made your heart vibrate and had you thinking in ways that uplift you, that empower you, that help you live a fuck yes life, because that's what we're here to do. If you want to go deeper on all of this with me, I would love to have you in my Substack. Substack is my jam. It's where you get live mentorship with me, but not just that, you actually learn a very important, vital tool for growth to live a self-directed life, and that is self-directed writing. We do challenges and other fun activities together to help you get there. It's so much fun. In addition to just being connected with my writing, my essays, and I'm a writer, so it's important to me. So if you want to become a Substack member, there's a link in my, I was about to say bio. I do that from time to time, fucking Instagram, but in the description on YouTube and in the show notes, roxannesaffaie.com. Thank you guys so much. I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks so much for listening, you guys. Please like, subscribe, and share. And don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating and review.